Welcome back, my YouTube family. Thank you for joining me. So, today we are going to talk about men and mental health. If you recall, last week we talked about mental health just from a general perspective, learning the difference between mental health and mental illness. If you have not checked that out, check it out. The video is, I'm going to be part of the favorites or populars at the end of this video. It is a little bit longer, forgive me. But you can kind of skip through it. But I do explain mental health and mental illness, the difference in the beginning. So we're going to, again, talk about men and mental health today. But before I get started, I need you to do me a favor. I know you get tired of hearing people say this. I know. Please don't go past this part without, please, hitting that subscribe button below, hitting the bell so you can get those notifications of new videos, so you can support my channel, so you can support my content. I'm really trying to get my voice heard. I have so many things I want to share with people, so much information, so many resources I want to just get out to the population. So if you can do me a favor, hit that subscribe button for me, and join me when I have new content coming out. Share my content, make comments, all that good stuff. I would really appreciate it. So before I actually get started talking about men and mental health, I want to say this one thing to you guys. I realized last week that my video was too long. 25 minutes is too long, and that's not going to hold most people's attention. So I apologize for my video being too long, and moving forward, starting tonight or today, I will be making my videos a lot shorter so that you guys can hear what you need to hear and move on about your day and get what you need done. So, talking about men and mental health. So when I decided to talk about men and mental health, I had already had knowledge. I knew that men and mental health was not a very popular topic. It's not talked about a lot. Now, it's talked about more now than it has been in the past, but it's still not really talked about a lot. I have a master's degree in counselor education with a concentration in community counseling. So I have dabbled in the mental health field off and on for some years. And even in my experience, men and mental health and mental illness, that just was not a really popular conversation. And when it comes to certain cultures and certain races, it's even less of a popular conversation. So, and I did definitely notice that when I was doing my research. So, and I was able to finally get my post up on my website about men and mental health. And that's one of the things we talked about is, different cultures, different races with how they feel about mental health in men. So generally speaking, when you're talking about men and mental health, most of the time when you talk about mental health, it's like you kind of talk about it from a very broad perspective, and you're talking about it mostly, it's focused on women, and men don't usually get that much attention on mental health. But here's the reality: men are more likely to successfully commit suicide than women when it comes to mental health and mental health issues. Women are more likely to attempt it, but men actually succeed more. And a lot of people don't really connect that. They don't really connect with men and the mental health and mental illness and mental health issues. I also noticed that young men between the ages of 18 and 24, one of the articles I read said between the ages of 18 and 24, they don't want to seek mental health. They have this stoic image of themselves, and they have such a negative idea about mental health. They don't want their family and their friends to think of them of anything less than stoic, and they don't want to be associated with that negativity of mental health. So they don't seek the mental health. Now, I did not actually find any information about this next theory I have, and this is just my theory. I also think men of the older generation, the baby boomers, and I think Generation X, 70s babies, I also think they do not seek mental health services either, because they were raised in a time where society, where those gender roles were very strong and very prevalent, that being associating anything with mental health, you're considered weak and less of a man. So I don't think a lot of men in that age range would seek out mental health as an option either when they're in that particular age range. But like I said, I didn't find anything to particularly say that, but that's just a theory that I have, and I base that on the experiences of my personal life, the men in my life, the older men in my life, and I think about just some of the things I've seen and heard over the years, things I've read, I'm not read, but just experiences I've seen and heard from other people with older generations over the years. And then, so one of the other things that I found when we talked about mental health with men was that white men were more likely to seek out mental health services than black men, and I think they had a couple other different races as well. Most black men, either they're not going to seek out mental health or they don't know how to find those services. Most of their services that they do get for mental health concerns or mental illnesses comes through the criminal justice system. And then even in that experience, it's a very negative experience that tends to happen. They're more likely to be mistreated. They're more likely to have their symptoms and their complaints dismissed. They're more likely to have poor services. So their experience with mental health services are not very good. But white men are more likely to reach out and to get mental health services, although black men are more likely to be stressed and have those stressors in their lives, and their stresses are much more impactful in their lives. Now, please do not take this as me saying that, one is better than the other. These are just statistics. These are facts. These are differences that happen within different races and different cultures. They talk about, I saw about Haitian cultures, Jamaican cultures, Indian cultures. So it's prevalent with all the cultures. The men don't seek that mental health. And in other countries, they are seen very much as less of a man. And those mental health and mental illness concerns are completely dismissed. But I think it needs to be really addressed because I think men really need to start to learn and understand that it's okay. It's okay if you don't have it all figured out. It doesn't make you any less of a man if you're overwhelmed or stressed, or if you have a diagnosed mental illness. It's okay. It doesn't make you less of a man, but this is that societal pressure and ideas that are forced on men about, if something's wrong, if they go get therapy or whatever. Again, I said this last week, it has to stop. We got to look at things from a different perspective. So many times we've seen stories where people, are arrested, or they've killed a child or something, and you find out there are some mental health issues that have been going on for years that have been completely ignored and dismissed and not honored or not treated worth anything. It's going on too long, and it's really time for a change. That's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I want to plant that seed of we need to change things. We need to start really taking a different perspective about seeking out mental health services. We need to take a different look at how do we maintain the wellness of our well-being of our mental health. We try to carry everything on our shoulders. We can't do that. So I really wanted to push that issue. There was one more thing I wanted to say about the mental health is with men, another reason why they tend to not really seek out mental health services is because they feel like the coping mechanisms that they're using is working fine. And usually those coping mechanisms are not positive. It's alcohol use, drug use, sometimes engaging in very dangerous or illegal behaviors. And they feel like that's their way of dealing with their mental health issue. And the reality is it's not helping. It's not a good thing for them. Either it's going to impair their judgment and their ability to be able to even connect that, okay, this doesn't work. Again, they think it's working just fine and they don't want to change the way they're doing things. So that's another one of the reasons I I did read about with men and mental health. And I think a lot of all this also connects to the way society has really put upon men, starting from little boys, of don't cry, man up, you don't need to cry, and this, man up, be strong. And we're teaching our boys not to get in contact, not to know how they feel, to get connected to their feelings and put a name on their feeling and know what it is and know how to handle it and know how to regulate their emotions. And then they become men who can't regulate their emotions. And then we have catastrophe. I'm not going to try to tell anybody how to raise their children, but I really do believe, and I know I'm not the only one, believe that a lot of this with the men and mental health and not connecting with their emotions and not connecting with their mental well-being starts from childhood, when we don't teach our young boys that it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to be frustrated and upset, and there's a healthy way to deal with it. So that's just my spiel about men and mental health. Again, I'm going to have resources. If you are concerned with someone that has mental health issues or mental illnesses, I'm going to put those resources on my channel for you. It's going to be in the about part of my channel, so you can go straight to the links. I'm going to put those resources. Check out my website. Check out my articles. They have those resources. They have links for you guys to go to look for help. You can do it anonymously. They have support groups. They have them virtual. They have them live. There are so many different ways that you can reach out for help for someone. Please do not continue to ignore these people. If you got somebody in your family and they're just doing things and it's not clicking, it's not making sense, you're thinking they're off or they need to get themselves, they may have something wrong with them with their mental health. And the men, it looks different from men than women. And we'll talk more about that next week when we talk about women and mental health. It looks different. Start looking at some of these symptoms. There's so many different symptoms and so many different mental illnesses. That's why I'm not going through them. But use my resources. Read and look. Say something. Because you don't know what that person is going through. And you don't know, you may be that one person's savior. And sometimes men need to know that they have somebody on their side, that we're here, we're supporting you, we got your back, and you are still the man that we fell in love with, that we know, that's our uncles and our fathers and our brothers, and you are not less of a man because you are dealing with some mental issues. It doesn't make you less than a man. So that's my spiel for today. I told you guys I was going to make it a lot shorter. It's a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I hope you guys got something out of this. I hope you get something out of my resources. Please keep coming back, chilling with me, talk with me. If there's something else that you want to hear more about or something that I didn't cover, let me know. I want to hear from you guys. We're going to continue to talk about mental health for the rest of this month. We're going to do women and mental health. Next month, I think I'm really going to focus on financial education and credit education and all that good stuff. I have somebody that I'm connecting with that I want to connect with on for that next month. But continue to follow me, continue to subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate everything that you guys do. I appreciate all your support. I love you guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Check out the rest of some of my videos. Stay strong. Hey, hang in there.